The best is blessed, baby. Max Holloway is now an official 155er. But who should he face next? What kind of matchup with what kind of implications should be next for Max Holloway in this video? Hello and welcome to Bloodsport MMA.
Assalamu alaikum, Dagestan.
Max Holloway announced on his official YouTube channel that he's now officially done with 145. He will no longer be a featherweight like he was his whole career and will now make a permanent move to 155 for the rest of his career. But who should he fight now? Because at 155 there's so many new fun matchups for him that make sense. But as I just mentioned, it needs to make sense. And for me, right now, there are only 3 matchups that I see that you could argue make sense right now. Because in my opinion, it's like this. He's now still the BMF champion, right? So for me, it's pretty clear that his next fight should be for the BMF belt, to defend it. Because you want to sell pay-per-views, you want to make the fight make sense. He has the belt. The belt was won at 155. So now if he fights at 155, he should be defending that belt. And he's not deserving of a title shot right now. So the only thing that makes sense of UFC 155 pound champion title fight is what I'm talking about. Obviously that is not deserving of now. So he should be defending his BMF title right now in my opinion. And for the matchup, for the opponent of a BMF belt, for me, it needs to be someone that is not next in line for a belt, or that you couldn't argue to be next in line for a belt. So for me, there are only 3 options right now. You could say 3.5. Let's get the half one out of the way. The half one would be Conor McGregor.
The notorious Conor McGregor!
Hypothetically, there is a chance that Conor comes back next year, and that fight would make a lot of sense because they already fought at 145. Conor beat him, so Holloway wants redemption. Conor's at a point of his career where he probably doesn't want to fight if there's no belt on the line, but he's not deserving of a belt right now. But the BMF belt is a belt that you don't really have to be deserving of in terms of your recent wins and losses, but more in terms of how you act. And Conor is definitely a BMF, right? So that fight would make a lot of sense. I just don't know if Conor ever comes back. I just don't know, as the biggest Conor fan ever, if I even want to see him come back. But of course, if he decides to come back at 155, that's a fight that makes sense, that you could make, definitely. But since it's so unlikely that Conor comes back in the next couple of months or whatever, if he ever comes back, I'm trying to not talk about this too much. So let's just get that out of the way. But that's definitely something that I will be 100% behind.
All the belts.
Even though, as a Conor fan, I would be scared for Conor, but you know what I mean? That's a fight that obviously makes sense, sells a ton of pay-per-views. But let's talk about the realistic options. There are 3 guys. Let's start with the option that I like the least, which is, and I still like it because I'm suggesting it, but it's the least best option of those 3 that I'm about to mention. The number 3 is Dustin Poirier, because Dustin Poirier beat Max Holloway twice. So again, you have the redemption story there. And Max Holloway, Dustin Poirier is not fighting for any title right now, anytime soon. So that would make sense. Dustin Poirier already fought for the BMF belt once, so he could have a second crack at it. But what I have to say, what I don't like that much about the fight is that Dustin officially stated that this is 100% his last fight in the UFC. You don't really want a belt like the BMF belt to be on the line with a guy that already said that he will retire after that fight. Because if Poirier wins, of course you could see the positive side and say, hey, if Poirier wins, the belt is up for grabs again, which means they could change the division of the belt again. But I would like to see, because I think the belt's at the right division right now, 155, I would like to see the belt sticking around there a little bit. So I just don't like the idea of someone who's making his retirement fight to fight for that belt. So that's why I don't like that option too much. But obviously Dustin Poirier is an option with the history he has with Holloway, right? Then number 2. Or you know what? Number 2 and number 1 is actually, I cannot really decide which one I like more in a way. So those are my 2 official suggestions for Max Holloway next. Both of them make a lot of sense in my opinion. I would love to see both. The first option I have is the loser of Oliveira versus Chandler. Because the winner might fight for the belt or whatever, the official belt, and the loser is kind of in nowhere's land. Of course, if Chandler loses, the Conor matchup is still somewhere out there, whatever, but
I'm gonna pin you. This is my game.
and they're both big names. They're both guys who deserve a BMF belt attached to their name. That would make a hell of a fight with Holloway. They'll both be great matchups. Oliveira also has history. He already lost to Holloway once when he got injured, I believe, during the fight. So both fights, I mean, who would not want to see Chandler Holloway? Who would not want to see Oliveira Holloway too? Like, both fights are easy sellable.
I am the most entertaining lightweight on the planet.
With Oliveira or Chandler coming off a loss in that fight at MSG, they both are not next in line for a title at all. So the loser I'm talking about, obviously. So that fight would make a lot of sense in my opinion.
Absolutely, 100%.
And the last option I have that is on the same level of excitement for me, of course, probably pay-per-view wise, the Chandler Oliveira loser is better than the option I'm telling you now because they are just bigger names. But I would love to see Dan Hooker fighting Max Holloway, man. That would be such a great fight. Both guys are just no nonsense, I love violence guys. Both guys are not really talking much crap in advance. Both guys keep it classy, but both guys are in there to take your head off. And they both just love the violence. And I think that would be a fight for the ages. I really believe the styles of those two guys as well match up really well and would make for a really, really fun fight. So that's a fight that I could really see because Dan Hooker's at a point right now that he is ranked high enough that he's deserving of a fight against Holloway because you can't be number 15 and fight for the BMF belt in my opinion, at least not if Holloway is ranked number 5 at lightweight as of right now that I'm making this video. So Dan Hooker is there, I think he's even in the top 5 right now, but he's not there for a title shot yet. With a win over Max Holloway for the BMF belt, you could argue that he fights for the title next, yes, but he's not, at the moment he's not there yet. He needs at least one more win. So I would love to see that fight. Both of those options in my opinion are phenomenal. Whichever option makes the most sense as of the moment that the UFC decides to make a new matchup for Holloway or finds a date for Holloway, whoever is ready and available of those two should get the BMF shot. In my opinion, those would be phenomenal fights and Holloway would make a lot of money, a lot of eyes on that fight as well, good for both guys, and I do believe the fans would not be disappointed with any of those two fights. Write your opinion in the comments, you guys. What do you think? What should be next for Max Blessed Holloway? Do you think the BMF title should just get stripped and thrown into the garbage and he should fight a normal contender fight? Whatever it is, write in the comments, you guys. Would love to hear your takes. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to this channel. It would mean a lot to me. It's one click, means a lot. Another click is bloodshop.net, my official merch store. I have several different collections. You can all check all of those out. We have worldwide free shipping wherever you are with the code FREE. So put that in at the checkout, get your Bloodsport merch now. And most importantly, guys, stay bloody. Until the next one, bye-bye. Bloodsport out.